Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be with you this afternoon. I am Hervé Berdou. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for our CDMO business. I and my colleague Stu Needlemans and Chris Lee will walk you through our journey of our CDMO business until our fiscal year 2030. The CDMO market will continue to grow. You probably have as many insights as we do, but we see the growth as being around 6 to 8% per year for the next foreseeable future, bringing the market to around $250 billion in 2030. This is based on several elements. The pharmaceutical market itself is growing at a healthy rate. Aging population, chronic disease, they are all underlying trends that are here to last. We see rising investment in R&D in very differentiated product. Peter mentioned antibody drug conjugate earlier, and this is one of the very fast-growing segments of the market. The supply chain diversifications, geopolitical disturbance. We can open the paper every single day and we will see some of it. So the routes that we have taken usually will change. The politically friendly countries, depending on where you are in the world map, will vary. COVID-19 has changed a lot of the pictures of our supply chain. The onshoring or the nearshoring has become a reality. So all of those elements make a good platform of growth for the CDMO market. And in addition, we have a long-lasting trends of outsourcing being here. So we have more and more of our clients really focusing on their core capabilities, spending their effort and their brain power into the research and development, the in-licensing of drugs and molecules, focusing on the commercializations of this product and accessing capability or capacity through the CDMO markets. Some of them have a very asset-light based model and operations. So all those elements are very important for the growth of the market. And CDMOs are growing their offering in terms of products, in forms, in geographies, and all of that is really the platform that we're operating in. We do look at the world of CDMO in four areas, in four buckets. The first one will be the pharma company that are offering services based on their own strategic intent. That can be utilizations, that can be our own strategy in terms of driving a different P&L. That will be some of them. The second one will be the value maximizer. Companies that are providing very efficient supply chains at a low cost, working usually on high utilizations in low-cost country. The third one will be companies that have a focus on one or maybe two very specific niche. And there is the integrated service provider. Integrated service provider will operate across the entire value chain from the very early molecules to the commercializations and provide a lot of expertise along the value chain, providing this service to the client. At Piramal, we have chosen to be an integrated player, really building on a very strong collaboration with our customer and also a lot of evolving needs of our customer wanted to have less interaction with the CDMO market, less touching points. Why do we see ourselves as a CDMO? Well, we operate across the entire life cycle. And I will go a bit more in details, and my colleagues too will give you some example of the molecule moving from one side to another until it becomes a reality on the marketplace. We have a true global network of sites offering integrated services and cross-sell opportunities. So I'll go back with some data on how important it is for us. Our pipeline is extremely diverse and deep. We have more than 150 programs right now across all phases of development of molecules in our pipeline, and that's very healthy numbers to have. We have a proud history of providing a generic product and generic API, but in the last year, we are seeing more than 50% of our revenue come from innovative work, new chemical entity. Peter mentioned some of the drugs that we are supporting our customer to launch across various geographies. So that's very important in terms of us growing through the value chains of the CDMO offering. We have differentiated offering. We offer specialty work that others would walk away from. We are taking it in full compliance and with a lot of science behind it. We have a very diverse customer base operating across many countries and across all the regulated market, I would say. So here's the example of all the service offering that we do have. It's a very busy slide, and we can make it even busier, but we can walk along the journey with our clients. So somebody, hypothetically, one of our clients right now, would develop an in vitro piece of work in our facility in Ahmedabad, in India. This work will go into pre-GMP scale-up work in Riverview in Michigan, the facility that Nandini mentioned earlier, for having a little bit of the development done at scale or just below scale. And this product will stay either in Riverview or go to one of our other facilities around the world for commercializations. So clients can come across this value chain. What they can also do is enter at any point in the chain because they have their own very early development, or they only have the early phase and want us to support later on in those elements. Having those multiple entry points or the full value chain bring us a lot of credibility in the marketplace. It really brings us in a differentiated place with our customer. And by doing that, we have enabled our teams to have a very consistent high win rate. That brings the credibility that we do have here. We're a truly global team, and we have facility in the West and in the East. I think you've seen that earlier. And here you have some example of our technology that we are seeing. It brings a lot of advantage for our customer. They can have access to a very differentiated cost base. They can have access to a lot of science and commercializations and regulatory support close to their home base, close to their market where they are going to sell. It gives us also a lot of advantage by providing us the opportunity to have access to many tenders, many proposals, because we are offering this wide range. And just for some numbers, 16 of our 20 top customers are operating with 2 or more of our facility today. So when we're talking about integrations and cross-selling, this is not only a sales pitch that we're having to you, but this is our reality. We also have 12 of these 20 top customers working across India and overseas facility. And this is a reality that our team, so Peter was mentioning or was illustrating by breaking the walls between our teams to ensure that integrations and high quality program management is happening. This is the reality what we do have. Our facility provide API services or high potent API in North America, for example, ADC and hormonal formulations in Europe, peptide, vitamins, premixes, and other API in India. And we have this truly wide range of developments and commercializations ability across the world. You can see at the bottom of the slides that our facility are also regularly inspected by major regulators. And this is a testimony of a very strong compliance and quality mindset that we as a leadership team, but our teams every single day are deploying on the ground. And we are facing, yes, several customer audits per month and several inspection per quarter, per year in all our facility. I'm very proud of the results that the team are delivering here.
Good afternoon, everybody in the room, and hello to everybody who's joining us virtually. I am Stu Diedelman. I am the Chief Commercial Officer and also serve as the Chief Patient Centricity Officer for PPL, for the CDMO business. And why that's important is you've heard many stories already from Nandini, Peter, and others. You'll hear that the patient is at the heart of everything we do. They are our true customer. So we talk about the patient a lot in all our discussions and all our meetings. We go forth. Our goal is to figure out ways to better serve our customers to get the medicine to a patient. So A lot of the stories you've heard have talked about the words integration or integrated offerings. That's really combining our capabilities, which of our assets, of our network, to get a benefit to our customer. That could be reduced time to market. That could be around operational complexities being reduced and lowering supply chain costs. The benefit to us is this increased revenue. We like to go deeper with our clients, and we like to say do more with less, meaning really focus on the customers that want to work with us. We have today, in the last 5 years, maybe 4, 125 integrated projects where, again, we're leveraging our assets for the client. 40% of our new orders in last fiscal year are from integrated projects. And just to give you a little bit of an example of a couple of things, I'm going to talk about 2 projects, or 2 programs, we'll call them, that emphasize the point. One is with a big pharma company, and this big pharma company had a long relationship with one of our sites. And over time, we grew them to another site. And then there was a new opportunity of a new drug that was being developed. It's in an area around narcolepsy. And this drug was in late phase 2, but it was a large volume from a chemistry steps perspective, not a volume of API. So it was a complex chemical challenge. So we do the first 10 steps of this program in our India site in Digwal. This company had never worked in India with Piramal. Then we we move that material to our site in Michigan. You heard Hervé talk about Riverview, Michigan, where we finish the API, and then it gets transferred, shipped to our facility in Lexington, Kentucky, which is our sterile injectable site, to be put into a sterile vial so it can be dosed to a patient. This is the first time this company has done something that they call an end-to-end solution. On the other side, this is a commercial program. But this commercial program, and it's with a different type of company, I would call it an emerging biopharma company, almost even a virtual company. This molecule started in our Indian facility in Ennore and in our Digwal facility, where those 2 sites helped make the active ingredient. At the same time, our development site in formulation, the dosage side, in our Ahmedabad facility, was developing the formulation. As it progressed into the clinic, we transferred the Ahmedabad component, the formulation side, to our 2 commercial scale oral solid dosage facilities in Morpeth and in Pithampur. So Morpeth in the UK and Pithampur in India. And we're all proud to say that this drug was approved 2+ years ago. Another part of our integrated services, and you've heard Peter talk about it a little bit again, is we call it ADC Accelerate. So that's the antibody drug conjugation, but putting the rest of the puzzle of the pieces together to accelerate the drug and give the client, again, the entire network to leverage for them. So again, we talked about the payload linker piece, the MAB piece, which comes out of Yapin Bio. It's a strategic investment of Piramal's. The conjugation, again, done in Grangemouth in Scotland. And in the fill finish, again, final dose delivery in vials coming out of Lexington, Kentucky. We have active programs doing this, and it involves integrated project management and seamless collaboration. So you can hear the themes that continue to repeat that we focus on to deliver new medicines for patients. Hervé talked about our deep pipeline. I'll come back to that in the next slide also again. But the most important part of our pipeline also is the mix of the pipeline. You can see by the percentage of projects that are in phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, 34% as an example, because programs have their own ebb and flow. Projects are in the clinic. It takes a year to get results. So you're always filling the pipeline. As Hervé likes to say, we're never full. We're always selling because projects have their own life. So we're really proud of our pipeline. 50% of our revenue, again, from innovative work, new chemical entities. Very important to us. And these pipeline opportunities, as they graduate, they stay with you. Again, if you do the job correctly, clients do not leave. They want to give you more work. So as they get towards commercialization, we stay with the project and we help launch the drug. Our revenue, again, comes from innovation. And we talk about the 50% threshold, but you can see the breakdown here. 4% of our revenue comes from drug discovery, where we're doing what we would call medchem work for our clients. We have about a team of 300 scientists in Ahmedabad who do that work, and there is integration on those projects as they can continue to transfer to our other chemistry sites to get into the clinic. 26% of our revenue comes from development services. That is pre-commercial, so that's what we would call phase 1 to phase 3 type of opportunities. And again, we focus on, and you heard again the theme, and where we can differentiate: antibody drug conjugation, high potent APIs, peptide manufacturing, hormones. And the last piece of it is 20% of our revenue comes from commercial manufacturing for the NC work, the innovation work. And this is a huge jump in our business. From last year, 52 million, to this year, 116 million over this past fiscal year. And these are commercial scale molecules that are under patent that we're manufacturing with long-term contracts and on-time delivery.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Chris Leahy. I'm a Senior Vice President of the CDMO Business. So I'd like to talk first about some of our revenue metrics and why they're important. The first one being our differentiated offerings. So what are these? You've heard a bit about it already. These are our services and capabilities that are A, technically more complex and complicated to do. B, they have high entry barriers. So for example, they require a certain level of capital expenditure for potent manufacturing. As a result of this, tends to be lower competition in the marketplace. And as a result of that, we're able to charge, higher rates and achieve higher margins. So good examples of this are at our, Grangemouth facility in Scotland, where we do ADCs, and our potent sterile injectables in Lexington in Kentucky. You can see from the graphs that we've performed very strongly in this area in the last 3 years, both absolute terms. So we've had a 22% CAGR in the last 3 years of revenue of this segment. And our share of our overall revenue has grown substantially from 27% to 44%. Now, looking ahead to the growth period to FY30, we expect this trend to continue. And this is one of the levers that will help us expand our margins. We also have an attractive and diversified customer base. So our overall revenue mix has about 64% coming from either big pharma or emerging biopharma. And we have 84% of our revenues coming from regulated markets. Our customer concentration is relatively low, and we have long-standing customer relationships in our top clients. So 15 of our top 20 customers we've been working with for over 7 years, many a lot longer than that. And over this period, as Stu mentioned, we've been able to take them from site A to site B to site C and go deeper with these customers. And for 2 of these metrics, the share going to big pharma and emerging biopharma and regulated markets, we again expect that to increase as a share of the overall revenue of the CDMO business over the next 5 years.
Peter showed you already the numbers, so that's not a surprise anymore. But we will be a $1.2 billion revenue company in CDMO area with 25% EBITDA by our fiscal year 2030. We're extremely excited by this journey, coming from where we have been the last few years, all the positive trends on the marketplace, the positive example that Stu and Chris have shown in terms of integrations, in terms of innovations. So we have the right infrastructures and the right foundations to really be successful at that. However, in addition to these positive trends, we have developed a framework that we call our 4 Cs of customer, capabilities, capacity, and cost. And we will display a little bit more of the details on that. But this is our strategic goals for the next few years that enable us year on year to continue strengthening the journey that we have just achieved. Starting with the customer, I think they've been in the centers of the discussion today, and the customers and their patients. Customer delight. It sounds obvious, but we are a service organization. We do sales services through technology, through science. But at the end of the day, delighting the customers by providing what they ask for in time, in full, at cost, with the right level of expertise and consulting, if you want, of support is extremely important. To give you a little bit of dimensions for that is our biggest rate or biggest win rate come from customer providing us the same business, the same product that they just bought from us at the same sites, rather than placing the order to our competition. So by providing a really good and positive experience through strong program management, strong delivery, strong supply chains, we are enabling the repeat business to become a reality. Our second best win rate comes from the same clients having a very positive experience, placing in different programs, either at the same facility or at another of our facility. And this is really where the customer mindset, the customer service mindset is critical in what we are doing. So this is one of the elements of our customer delight framework. The second one is, of course, we have to continue performing at a higher rate, at a higher level across all the key metrics in terms of standardizing processes, harmonizing processes. Some of our customers, of course, will continue to work in one of our facilities, so they have no exposure about what's happening in another part of the world. But others will want to have a similar experience, similar reporting, similar quality discussions. And it's important for us to build on a very solid and consistent program management framework, for example, a very consistent quality management systems. And when we have issues in the network, addressing them with pace, because they can impact, as I said, the win rate is a repeat business. They can impact another site solely. We will enhance and improve our business development activities through strengthening our marketing. We do have, and we're very proud to have, a very strong customer advisory board, which is a selection of customers that we invite and that are acting as advisors to our plans. What do you think about this? The Biosecure Act is going on. What is going to be the impact? And we use these insights to help us decide. We have a key account management process that is being rolled out across the company and the C-suite, and the C-suite is supporting. Many of us have a key accounts that Stu's teams is helping us drive and engage with. So the major customers feel they have access to the decision making and the resolutions without having to go through all the hoops that you can have. We have created what we call a science collective. Our heads of R&D in API, in formulations, in the large molecules, the antibody drug conjugation, and the peptide, for example, are present alongside our business development team to bring and travel the world to sell our credibility and work outside and focusing on the customer, and then bring the insight back to our sites about what can we do better, what are we learning, what is the feedback. And this is really bringing a very different dimension in terms of our customer delight. Talks about capacity and, of course, capability. You all know, of course, that by improving utilizations in our network, by having a higher scale of operations, we can bring a better operating leverage and a higher profit margin. And this is why we are saying that the organic growth that we are planning for our network is critical. When we have a new business, we do not have to go and acquire another facility and bring all the overhead that goes with it. We do not have to create a brand new greenfield, adding a new site head, a new leadership team, and so on and so forth. So we do have the capacity, thanks to the amazing team that we do have, to grow the business that we are having today. And the network, as you've seen, is quite extensive, both geographically, but also from a technology perspective. So this is the element to bring the operating leverage and a higher margin into all of this. So a mix of procurement, of operational excellence. We have many programs where we thought we had an issue in some of our sites, and we have to invest in the next block and the next one. And we have put all the best brands that we can find and working together and unlocking capacity. And we can serve the customer that might have or may not have been mentioned earlier in a higher volume and higher delivery there. So, yes, we have to increase our utilizations, and we have a demand that enables us that. So we are following the demand. However, we also have to think about the next stage of growth. And here you have a representation of some of the investments that we are planning. As Nandini mentioned earlier, all those investments, all those organic investments, will be based on how we perform year on year. And this is not a fixed plan that we are providing here. But I want to give an example on the Lexington facility. It has been mentioned several times where we have enabled the launch of commercial product for a customer in this sterile fill finish facility. And this is a hot commodity in the marketplace. So we are going to increase the capacity and the capability of these particular sites for this. Okay, so this is just one example of many of our investment that we are planning across this planning horizon.
So we've heard today a lot about the revenue growth of the CDMO business in the next 5 years. I think what I'd also like to touch on now is we must obviously achieve good profitable growth, not just absolute terms, but our profit margin percentage needs to increase up to our target level of 25%. We do have a number of levers that we're currently exploring and some to, accelerate and deepen over this period. First, you've heard already about we want to shift our revenue mix into higher margin revenues, be it the innovation work growing from 50%, be it higher share of big pharma and emerging biopharma from 64%, or our differentiated offerings growing beyond 44%, as well as more integrated orders, which are touching many sites across the network. In terms of operational excellence and cost optimization, we have a strong procurement team across the globe who are helping us reduce and contain costs of our raw materials and our indirect expenses. We have a strong and growing operational excellence team. Hervé touched on it. This makes us more efficient at our locations and unlocks capacity to deliver more revenues and more volumes. And lastly, IT, technology, automation will also help us on our efficiency drive over this period. The third element, Hervé touched on it, is the higher occupancy and utilization of our facilities, enabling us to reduce our fixed cost per unit and get fixed cost leverage. This will also make a very meaningful impact over the coming period. But the good news is these aren't things that we're hoping to do in the future. I think we've already been doing it. The graph on the right-hand side shows at a PPL level, the year-on-year for the last 5 quarters, growth in revenues, which is the blue bar, and the growth in EBITDA, which is the orange bar. And the growth in profit has significantly outpaced the growth in revenues. And a large contributor of that is the CDMO margin levers that I've covered in this slide. Okay, so just to conclude and summarize, our goal is to be a $1.2 billion CDMO organization with a 25% margin by FY30. We will get there and achieve that by focusing on innovation-related work, on integrated services touching more than one location, and on growing our differentiated offerings. We will delight our customers in every one of our locations. We will increase our margins via the multiple levers I referred to earlier. And we will increase our cross-selling where we go, into more than one location with the same customer, not on an integrated project, but on new projects over this period. But importantly, we will do all this whilst maintaining our best-in-class quality track record.